Right, YouTube, it's the Shadow King Nazru, and I'm here with a review of Rosario Vampire 2, Chapter 62. Before we start, I kind of forgot that there were these side chapters, um, Chapter 22.5, Chapter such and such point 5. They don't really add all that much to the story, but they're all pretty fun in their own way. One is about, this little fun story of when Mocha was still in the captivity of Fairy Tale, and there's a little bonding time between her sister Aqua, and we see Gyokuro in a nicer side, though she that's all mostly because she wants to take care of Mocha so she can revive Dracula, but they don't go into that. And there was this another bit where Kurumu and Mizure's mom, Agaha and Surar, argue over who Skune is going to marry. And we also got, in that same story, we also see Yukari's mom, who wants to know how come none of the students uh, pay think she's pay attention to her and think she's attractive, just like the students do with Agaha and Surara. I'm not entirely sure if I'll do reviews on those, since they're really short and unnecessary to the whole main plot. But who knows? I might do it sometime later after I finish the main story. Speaking of which, let's get to the main story. Hokuto's wheelchair is destroyed, and he tells Skune to leave him. But Skune, being the hero and the nice guy and all, offers assistance by carrying Hokuto. Skune says that he wants Hokuto to return with him to Yokai Academy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the manga establish that Hokuto graduated from Yokai Academy? Which I'm still surprised he managed to do, despite the fact that he nearly destroyed Yokai Academy. And anyway, Hokuto says that because of Yokai Academy, his legs have gotten so infected he can't even walk. So he says he's pretty much done with the school. They're suddenly ambushed by Kiria, who managed to escape from Fujisaki. You're telling me that we skipped over the fight between Kiria and Fujisaki? Akihisa, you're a great writer, but that's a dick move. That's a real dick move. Okay, if the manga gets adapted into an anime, I don't want the anime to skip the fights. They should do episodes that actually do the fights. I don't care if it's going to be if it's basically just going to be filler or padding or whatnot. It still needs to be done. These fights are awesome. Okay, anyway, Kiria tells Hokuto that he and Kiria should kill Skune and the newspaper club. Then we see Kiria turn into his monster form, which looks relatively similar to Dracula, with various monster parts and what have you. And Hokuto describes Kiria as an artificial life form called a chimera. And he was made from Dracula's flesh. So, Kiria is a clone of Dracula? Okay. And Hokuto then starts to push Skune aside and says that Kiria made him a chimera as well, so he basically has Dracula's blood running through him as well. And then he starts to transform into a chimera with a winged form and tendrils to help support his legs. So basically, you can walk Hokuto, you just need to turn into a monster. On the other hand, that would make it a bit more conspicuous when you're going around places, so I'll leave it to your complaint. He then tells Skune to go on while he faces Kira. We then cut to Kahlua Shuzen continuing to shoot her concussive blasts at Kurumu and Mizore. Kurumu and Mizore then start using ice shards and illusions to stall Kahlua until they can think of a way to beat her. Kahlua then suddenly gets impaled by dozens of shards, but they suddenly have no effect on her, and she phases right through them. And all of you are shocked because the only person we've ever seen being able to phase through attacks is Aqua, and that's because she has Jigentao. So how is Kahlua Shuzen able to do this? Well, Kahlua rescues them and explains it. She explains that her sister's new form is basically a liquid body. So she can't be harmed in any fashion. And on top of that, she can use her body and flesh as projectiles. And Kahlua is really impressed that Kahlua can deduce that so quickly. Kahlua goes on further, saying she keeps her power sealed because if she didn't, she would forget that she was alive. And to prove her point, she uses Mizore's ice shard to nearly decapitate herself. I just remembered that, and I gotta say that is pretty fucked up. I mean, her head was just hanging just barely like this. Just imagine if my head was just cut off and only this part was just left, keeping it together. Yeah. Then we see Bonfong and Yukri continuing to fight Gairen, and Bonfong says that Gairen is surprisingly weaker than the other leaders, and he slices through Gairen with his coin sword. Yes, coin sword. Roll with it! And his armor is apparently empty. Huh. Well, that was anticlimactic. And suddenly they are seen by they're spotted by the image of the Masked King. So was the Masked King controlling Gairen the whole time, or was there never a Gairen to begin with? That was just a vessel that the Masked King was using. Perhaps we'll find out later. We then go back to Kahlua, who is still fighting Kokua, Kurumu, and Mizore. And she says that she felt obligated to be at her mother's side because Gyakura would be alone otherwise. Kahlua relents on the countless people she's killed for her mother, and Kokua and Kurumu and Mizore continue to get their ass kicked by Kahlua. And Kahlua says that more than anything, she wants to die for all her sins, but she doubts Kokua is the one to do it, and she blasts the girls. The girls, I think, with Kahlua's unavoidable flesh shots, which are pretty much like similar to a shotgun, but with more bullets, and her liquid body, she's basically invincible, and is truly the ultimate vampire. Kokua says that that's not the case because she was able to handle Kahlua when she wasn't at full power, which gives Kurumu an idea. This is the shock. Kurumu's actually starting to be more intelligent and be more tactical than her usual, what's the best way to say, slacker self when she doesn't do well in the academics. Let's just move on. Kahlua starts to beg Kurumu and Mizore for them to stop fighting so she can give them a merciful death. But Kurumu and Mizore plan on using a technique that not even Aqua's Jigentao could survive. The black and white duet number 13, Last Waltz. And so a giant pillar hurls towards Kahlua, and Kahlua agrees that she can't dodge it, so she uses her bat wings to cut it into pieces. Kahlua gets ready to kill Misery, but Misery says that the last waltz is meant to beat vampires. And so it is proven since Kahlua is paralyzed by the last waltz holy water, and thus she's unable to use her powers, because the holy water is pretty much acting like a limiter, much like Mocha's rosary. Then the chapter ends off with Kahlua impaling Kahlua, and thus Kahlua starts to die, and she thanks Kahlua and says that she loves her. That's really sad. I really did like this chapter. It was a tragic tone for Kahlua, but we did see some good things, such as Kurumu actually coming up with a strategy, and Kahlua managing to best one of her sisters, albeit with a little bit of help. It was also nice to see that Tsukune's defining character traits, that he's able to see the best in people, even though that might make him a little bit naive. And it's also nice info to learn that Hokuto and Kiria are chimeras made from Dracula's own flesh. Well, not so much Hokuto, because he's actually he started off human. He was just made into a chimera by Kiria. But all in all, pretty good chapter, and I'm really looking forward to see where things go with chapter 63. And like I said, don't hold me to this, but I may do the lost side chapters. So stick around for those.